I don't think there's a single song by Pantera in this entire movie. Can you believe that? Welcome to Box of Chocolates, where you never know what you're gonna get. Today you're getting my opinion on Den of Thieves 2, Pantera. It's in theaters now. It's the sequel to the movie that came out 7 years ago that I never expected to get a sequel. And yet here it is. Now the first one I thought was okay. It had some entertainment value to it, but I thought it was kind of generic, not all that memorable. Like I said, not something that stuck in my mind and ever made me think it needed a sequel. But I do get why it would have its fans, so I was totally willing to give the second one a chance. I actually thought maybe it could be an improvement. At the very least, it could be some dumb entertainment. So, how was it? Well, let me start off with the positives. First of all, Gerard Butler is really good here. It seemed like he was having fun jumping back into this role. His character was just kind of an asshole scumbag in the first movie, despite being the one we're technically supposed to be rooting for because he's the cop trying to stop the robbers. He was doing a good job jumping back into that character. O'Shea Jackson Jr. was good as well. I liked him in the first movie. I don't think he's doing anything particularly special with his performance here or anything, but he's good. Gerard Butler is the standout. He was doing a solid job giving this character a little bit more of a layered performance, maybe, compared to the first one. I feel like this one takes a little bit more downtime every now and then to just have the characters talk to each other and bond and kind of give us a little bit more of a clear view into their mental states than the first one. And so Butler's performance did a good job displaying this character who really puts on this front of manliness, and he's constantly cracking jokes and insulting people and acting like he's unbothered, but you can tell deep down it's because he has a lot of issues that he just doesn't like to think about and deal with. The supporting cast is fine, but most of the focus is on our main two, and I liked having them completely on the same team for the majority of this movie and working together and getting to know each other. Those were some of the better scenes. Cinematography is nice. It's a good looking movie. I like that it takes place in a different location this time. We're in France, we're in various parts of Europe, so there's a nice setting in this film that I enjoyed looking at, but I think that's about all I can say positively. I thought this was a significant step down from the first film, which is a film I didn't even think all that highly of to begin with. There wasn't a single character that I was ever rooting for. The first movie kind of took the approach of showing the cops as douchebags and showing the human side of the robbers, like getting to meet 50 Cent's family, just kind of seeing the camaraderie among them. Pablo Schreiber's lead performance in that film being like very charismatic and actually likable, despite the things that he was doing. This doesn't have that. Gerard Butler has joined O'Shea Jackson Jr. to do a heist together. We're basically only focused on their group, with a few small exceptions here and there, and the supporting cast is horribly uninteresting. I remember, even though I didn't think that much of that film, I do remember the two groups of both cops and robbers in that first film. The supporting characters in this are just nothing. The rest of this heist team, I don't know hardly anything about any of them. None of them are likable. None of them are interesting. I don't feel any kind of family or real team connection between any of them. It seems like they're supposed to be the best of the best, considering the scale of this heist they're trying to perform, and nothing any of them ever do sells me on that at all. None of them do anything particularly impressive, even compared to the last movie in this franchise. So I was never invested in this group at all. And even O'Shea Jackson Jr.'s character, in the first film, he was kind of the underdog because at least we thought he was the smaller scale criminal who kind of got in over his head. And so we understood that he doesn't deserve to go down as hard as the other guys, and maybe we could help him out. But he doesn't have that anymore, because now we know, oh, he's the mastermind. He's out here trying to pull these diamond heists just because he feels like it. So there's no reason to root for him. And Gerard Butler's just an asshole. Like, he's good in his performance, but his character is just an asshole all the time. You get a few of those moments of bonding that I did enjoy and shedding some more light on his mental state, like I said, but he's still involved in the heist as well, and so I never thought, yeah, this is a guy who I totally want to get away with this. There was never any character that I wanted to succeed, and you didn't have the opposite side this time to bounce off of and share the screen time with. This movie is horrendously slow-paced, and it is 2 hours and 24 minutes long. What gives you the right? The first movie was about that length as well, and it was too long. This movie is worse, and it dragged ass. From the opening heist, which is very brief and just kind of establishes one small thing, you do not really get any more action, any more heisting, until the third act. And the movie is structured in such a sluggish, uninteresting way. Like, you have these scenes where Gerard Butler is introduced into this group of criminals, and you'd think obviously they're gonna be suspicious of him. He's gotta prove his worth somehow. You could get a really interesting, exhilarating, suspenseful scene out of something like that, where he has to do something to prove his loyalty, get himself onto the team. No. He just sits down at a table with the leader of the group, and he makes her laugh, and she's like, okay, he's on the team now. Oh, you could have had like a whole scene out of that. You could have done something with that, like how a movie would do, but he's just on the team now. So, okay. It's things like that that make the pacing feel so boring. They have opportunities to actually splice up the movie with some more exciting scenes every now and then, because the characters are not good enough as a whole to carry it on their own. This is Den of Thieves. Some of the talking scenes are fine, but let's be honest about what we're here for. You got a scene where a little bit of violence happens and the cops get involved. That could result in something, like a way they have to maybe actually get themselves out of that cleverly. No, they just get to walk away. They're just let go. All of these instances where you could have drama or excitement and you just don't have it. There are subplots that barely go anywhere at all. The mafia is involved, and for the life of me, I don't know why. They show up randomly a few times. They could be cut from the movie entirely and it wouldn't make a difference. They're just adding to the runtime, which is already bloated as hell. They do contribute a little bit near the end, and I can't go into spoilers about how, but let me just say it's annoying. What they do actively makes the movie worse. What they could contribute is greater threat, suspense, stakes, and they actually end up kind of doing the opposite, weirdly. The way they contribute to this film makes it worse in multiple different ways, and they didn't even need to be there. Their role could have easily been accomplished in other ways that you already had going. The way they're inserted into the narrative in the end feels completely forced, and I think I know why. It's to set up another sequel. That's why, which is irritating as fuck. Den of Thieves. If they call it that, I will forgive everything. But yeah, that subplot sucks. There's another conflict amongst the group. Some of the members don't really seem to like our new guys. That barely goes anywhere either. It does technically come to a head, but not in a very interesting way. There are so many things in here that you either could have actually done something with them and made them really exciting, or cut them out because they are just adding to this long-ass runtime. What about the heist? With all that buildup, when you get the big heist at the end, it's gotta be worth it, right? No, it wasn't suspenseful. It wasn't intense. It felt weirdly small scale. Like I said before, what the criminals are supposed to be capable of doing, it didn't even feel impressive at all, even compared to the last film with the way they handled the heist of the Federal Reserve. That was way more interesting and exciting and dangerous feeling. This just felt like, why the hell did I sit through all of this just to get to that? A lot of characters in this film don't speak English because it doesn't take place in America, and there's kind of an odd choice not to include subtitles, ever. And at times this was okay because you have a few lines here and there that are spoken in another language where you get the gist just because of the context, the situation, the tone. But there are kind of like entire conversations that go on a decent amount of time that are not in English that I don't know what they were saying, and it really felt like I would have liked to know. And again, context fills in most of it, but when you have scenes of the older members of the gang who are seemingly kind of talking shit about O'Shea Jackson Jr. and Gerard Butler, I want to know why. That'll give me more information about who they are as people. What exactly is their problem? Like, I want to hear what they're saying so I get to know them more. You have the police who are talking to each other about what they're going to do, trying to stop our guys that we're supposed to be rooting for, but they're not speaking English and there's no subtitles, so I'm not feeling the stakes. I'm not feeling the suspense because I don't know what they're saying they're gonna go do. It's an odd choice that sometimes it works okay because it just puts you in the position of one of the characters who also doesn't speak those languages. But as a whole, as a narrative, I do feel like it was a bad idea. Most of the movie is so incredibly straightforward. There are no surprises. Nothing interesting is done with any of these subplots. By the end, they do try to pull a few reveals on you, but it's so obvious. It's so incredibly obvious the entire time, and it's the kind of thing where if they hadn't tried to surprise us and just made it known explicitly the entire time, that would have added more suspense. It's the kind of thing that actually could have added more tension throughout the entire runtime, and it's just another missed opportunity. I don't know what the motivation was behind making this movie. I don't know if Den of Thieves was some kind of massive hit that was demanding a sequel. I don't know if maybe it was a passion project. Maybe it's the same director as the first one, so maybe he just really wanted to make another one. But it doesn't seem like it, because this is so listless and dry and low energy for the most part, and just plodding along for so long. I don't know why they made it so long. Many people compared the first film to Heat, fairly enough, and so some people might be satisfied that this one is less like Heat. It's more of its own thing, but I still prefer the first one greatly. I just thought it did practically everything better, except this one delves into these two characters and helps them bond a little bit more. That was the nice thing, and I liked the setting, but other than that, this is a 2. I am shocked, actually. I thought there would be some dumb fun to be had. I really did. I thought there would be some at least solid enough entertainment, which the first one did have. I'm shocked how boring this was and how much I didn't enjoy it, and I can't recommend it even if you liked the first one. But that is all I have to say about that. That is just my opinion, so I would love to know your thoughts on the first film and this one down in the comments. If you thought this one was actually an improvement, or if you thought it was a step down, or whatever you think, I'd love to talk to you down there. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this and you want to see more from me. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.